A very good morning to all the members seated on the dais and those who are in front of me. It's always a pleasure to address a young crowd with the curiosity and interest reflected on their face to know more. Knowledge is power, and definitely everybody should never miss an opportunity of knowing more, whether it is about foreign exchange or about any other topic. So as students, what I have to say first is always keep your eyes and ears open to gain knowledge. I thank the college for inviting me to deliver this keynote address, and I was really surprised because I'm new to Bangalore. I have been impressed by the institute here, and I wish all the students who are studying here and all those who are participating in this program to make the most of the facilities being given by this college. Now I am, as you have been introduced, I am from the Reserve Bank of India. Now I'm sure all of you know how Reserve Bank is different from any other commercial bank, but still there are some people who confuse Reserve Bank with any other commercial organization. Friends, let me tell you, Reserve has the word bank in it. We are not into commercial banking as such. We are the regulators of the banking system in this country as a central bank. Each country, as you know, has a central bank which is having a supervisory and regulatory role in the economy. And as far as foreign exchange is concerned, yes, we are the regulators in the sense that any foreign exchange transaction has to be as per the guidelines, rules and regulations issued by the RBI under the Act, Foreign Exchange Management Act, which came into effect in 2000. As many of you may be knowing that FEMA, short term for this act, replaced a much stricter and a conservative act known as the FERA 1973, that was Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. That was more about conserving foreign exchange, and for each and every foreign exchange requirement, you needed a permit or a license from RBI, and those were the days when we were very conservative, even for traveling abroad, for studying abroad, or bringing in foreign direct investment. Lot of paperwork was involved, lot of permissions had to be taken, reported, etc. Now since 2000, we have sort of liberalized. Now there is some background to this. If you remember, many of you may not have been born by at that time, when we had a foreign exchange crisis, when our balance of payments went into so much of negative position that we did not have enough foreign exchange. We just had enough to meet 2 weeks of imports, and that is when the rupee had to be devalued, and we had to pledge the gold, which was a sort of a very serious position to meet our foreign obligations. We have come a long way from there, and now we are in a much comfortable position. We have a 300 billion plus foreign exchange reserve, and we also have a fast growing economy. We are trying to catch up with the developed countries, and we still have some regulations, but it is much more liberalized than what it was before. I'm telling you all this because this will give you the background of how the foreign exchange market has developed. Is there any need for controlling it, or it can be allowed to develop without any controls? Now, earlier foreign direct investment in India or abroad had to be reported, permitted by RBI. Now we do not have much control, except that there are certain sectoral caps, and there are some sectoral sectors which are in the negative list, in the sense that foreign exchange cannot come in there. And for current account transactions, we are all the more liberal. Almost 100% convertibility is there. Current account, as you know, anything which basically in a very layman's way also you can say that foreign exchange transactions in the current account will be those which are affecting the profit and loss statement of any company, whereas the capital account transactions will be those which are affecting the balance sheet of a company. That's a basic difference, more or less reporting requirements. So friends, now with so much of liberalization in dealing in foreign exchange, the foreign exchange market obviously has got a fillip and it has grown. Now the integrities of the foreign exchange market will be dealt with by the faculty members who will be holding the sessions. But what you must understand is the need for foreign exchange in this country is growing because our trade is growing and also our companies, our corporates are spreading their wings abroad, so they need to invest, set up subsidiaries, joint ventures abroad. At the same time, we need our own companies or our own industry to grow, and for that we need encouragement to bring in more of foreign direct investment without actually handing over the controls there. What we need is our economy should grow, because for any company or any economy to grow, we need capital. Now, for this capital, if it is not possible to bring from the domestic savings rate, although our savings rate has gone up much more than what it was, say, 20 years back, but still, why do we invite the foreign direct investment? We invest in machinery, in technology. Basically, FDI is a long-term investment which will bring in more technology, more know-how, and our economy will be able to gain from it. Apart from the capital, it is more of technology, new ways of running the company or new concepts which we will gain if we are more liberal on the capital account front. But then, of course, Reserve Bank as a regulator has not encouraged a full convertibility on the capital account, because as you know, the different crises in different parts of the world have shown that a totally liberalized capital account will mean sometime or the other there will be a foreign exchange crisis, because as you know that if any movement or any changes in any part of the corner will affect an economy, foreign currency or foreign investment may outflow and affect the functioning of the economy to the extent that each company may have to face a severe crisis. Now, as you know, earlier foreign exchange rate was determined by RBI. It was a fixed rate. So there was no risk. You knew if you had to pay foreign exchange or receive foreign exchange at a later date, because it was a fixed rate, there was no currency risk as such. But now we have moved away from the fixed rate regime, and it is totally market determined. So for any individual or any company who is dealing in foreign exchange, who has a receivable or a payable in foreign exchange, will face the currency risk. So there are many options available to him to hedge this currency risk, and Reserve Bank has allowed various instruments and methods through which this currency risk can be hedged. The main players in the market are the authorized dealers or the banks who have been licensed by RBI to deal in foreign exchange. And now the exporters, importers, or all those who have exposure to the foreign currency have means of hedging that risk. But then they have to understand what type of risks can be there, to what extent they can hedge, and they should not be taking a position which may lead to a crisis in their own company balance sheets, which many IT firms had faced some time back. So whenever the exchange rate moves this way or that way, it is when it is depreciating, it is beneficial for the exporters, because for per unit of the foreign currency, they are getting more in Indian rupees. But it is harmful for the importers, because they will have to pay more in Indian rupees for getting 1 unit of foreign currency worth of goods. So whenever the rupee moves this way or that way, some part of the economy will get affected, either the importers or the exporters. But then what we have to understand, that that being a sort of much more liberalized economy now, Reserve Bank does not interfere in the market to fix the currency exchange rate. It is totally market determined. Yes, when there is extreme volatility in the movement, or it is going beyond a certain extreme point, Reserve Bank does step in and buys dollars or sells dollars to bring stability in the market. What we don't want to determine the rate, but at the same time we don't want the foreign exchange rate to be very volatile or to be very extreme, which will ultimately affect the growth of the economy. So the role of RBI in this is sort of a approach in the sense that the market is not affected if it goes to an extreme position. Otherwise, the players are free to hedge their risks, to deal in various type of derivative products, and of course there are reporting requirements which as students you may understand. Finally, when you go into companies, you will have to comply with these regulatory requirements. So whenever any foreign exchange transaction takes place, it is basically that the economy benefits from it, but at the same time it cannot be totally uncontrolled, because on the whole there has to be some sort of broader framework within which the economy can function. I hope you will enjoy the sessions that are coming forth and understand the intricacies of the market. But remember, in everything, I always end up my speech with this: as students, you must develop, whether you are in the foreign exchange market or any other market, you must remember ethics plays a big role, and all your dealings as foreign exchange dealers in future or as corporate managers, you must keep that word that ethical transactions are the basis of any good transactions. And another thing which I would like to bring to your notice as well as to the management, this may not be directly connected with what you are going to study throughout the day today, but it is a part of a public awareness program that we are holding. Everywhere we are spreading the message about what we now have come to understand as the fictitious mail menace. Many of you may be receiving fictitious mails through SMS, emails, etc., promising you big sums of money from abroad as lottery prizes or as cheap source of funds or as loans for your higher education. So please, and sometimes these mails have been using RBI letterheads, RBI websites, etc., and many people have been taken into it. They have lost money because normally they are asked to deposit some amount into an Indian account in order to, as a processing fee or as a whatever name they call it, and then later on it is found that it is all a hoax. Many people have lost lakhs of rupees. So we have been told, we officers of RBI as well as all other banks, to spread the message: please do not pay heed to such mails. They are all fraudulent. And for your information, any money which is coming in from abroad as lottery, it is prohibited totally under the FEMA, and even if it is coming as a loan, it has to be reported, and some sort of registration number has to be obtained by RBI. So whenever you receive any mail about this, please do not pay any heed to it, because they are all fictitious. I will request the college authorities to spread this awareness among their students also, and if I am not mistaken, we had written letters to all the principals of the colleges. Perhaps I have missed out your college, that this sort of message should be given to all the students, and they in turn should spread it among their friends, relatives, that they should not pay heed to such fictitious mails. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the sessions and learn much about it. And regarding any clarifications, any sort of problems which you have in understanding, or later as you work in some corporate or in some other organization, let me tell you, Reserve Bank always has an email inquiry. If you are wanting some explanations, so you can make use of it. Otherwise, I wish you all the best. Enjoy the day, learn a lot, and make use of it when you later go into the world of business. Thank you, everybody.